When you think of consequence of sin, it's quite evident that most people would think of the external things that happen due to your sin, such as if you cheat on your wife, your marriage is gonna fall apart. If you hit somebody, they're gonna remember you did that. Might press charges, you might lose something if you still get arrested, the consequence of sin in the physical. But there's another side to consequence, which is mostly internal. That's the spiritual consequence of sin. Because when you sin, you create in your mind a memory of sin. And that memory remains in your mind. And you might not think much of it at the time, but as time goes on and you start changing, you start growing, you move on with your life, that will come to haunt you and you will suffer. I'm thinking of Joseph's brothers, the sons of Israel. After they went down to Egypt, well, obviously they sold Joseph into slavery first, but many years later they go down to Egypt and all of these things happen to them, right? Joseph is testing them, they don't know that. But they go through so much anguish and suffering, and they know deep down, they immediately say, this is because of what we've done, right? Some would call it karma, but no such thing as karma, it's just judgment. You reap what you sow. The Lord put that principle in place, and they are tormented in their spirit. When Benjamin is taken back because of that cup that was found in his bag, and they already assume, they already know this is their judgment. They're tormented in their mind because they know what they did. They know this will come out. Their father is still mourning, and when they do realize it is Joseph, they tremble in their boots, because Joseph sends them back and tell them, go and get my father. And by the way, don't fight on the way, because he knows them. And they're going to be like, we can't tell him, he's going to kill us. He's going to realize we're the one that did this and we told him his son was dead. Well, it's the consequence of sin. And many times you will suffer most inwardly than outwardly, because outwardly, did they really suffer much? Well, not really. They went down into Egypt and, well, Joseph provided for them and their children. They weren't sold into slavery, really. They spent 3 days in prison when they came down, and Shimon spent a little longer than that. But all in all, right, they weren't like eye for eye, tooth for tooth in that regard, but they did suffer a tremendous amount mentally, spiritually, internally, because of what they've done. The fear, the regret, the turmoil. And you can relate, if you're honest with yourself, because, well, we're all human. Every man has sinned. And once you do teshuvah, which is really to turn your heart back to the Lord, to the Master of the universe, you do a U-turn to stop living a life of sin, but to actually fulfill the role that He has given you. And you embrace the consciousness of righteousness. And when you do that, you detest the thought of sin. It bothers you. And when your memories come to haunt you, and they do, you will suffer. Especially when you're tired. You know how it is when you lay down your head on your pillow and your mind starts wandering. And before you know it, you see images of people from 20 years ago and things that you've done. And all of a sudden you just scream out to the Lord to deliver you. Well, you did it to yourself. The consequence of sin. Do not go down the path. Sin is not worth it. Doesn't matter what it gives you. It costs you much, much more than what sin could ever give you. Do not go down the path. Do not even steal a shekel. It's not worth it. Just do what is just and right, even if that girl is so beautiful. It's not worth it. There's no amount of reward that can justify sin. It's not worth it. Do not do it. You're gonna pay heavily. And if you do ever repent, you would realize you wish you hadn't done that. So, will you listen? Will you not listen? I don't know, and frankly, I don't really care. I'm just giving you the word. You do whatever you want. Just remember, you will suffer. And every sin matters. So repent today and sin no more.